It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. It is better to be alone than in bad company. If freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to the slaughter. My mother was the most beautiful woman I ever saw. All I am I owe to my mother. I attribute my success in life to the moral, intellectual and physical education I received from her. Human happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. I hope I shall possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain what I consider the most enviable of all titles, the character of an honest man. A free people ought not only to be armed, but disciplined, to which end a uniform and well-digested plan is requisite, and their safety and interest require that they should promote such manufactories as tend to render them independent of others for essential, particularly military, supplies. "99% of failures come from people who make excuses. There is nothing which can better deserve our patronage than the promotion of science and literature. Knowledge is in every country the surest basis of public happiness. Labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. Associate yourself with men of good quality, if you esteem your own reputation, for 'tis better to be alone than in bad company. Guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism. Happiness depends more upon the internal frame of a person's own mind, than on the externals in the world. Experience teaches us that it is much easier to prevent an enemy from posting themselves than it is to dislodge them after they have got possession. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. Worry is the interest paid by those who borrow trouble. The turning points of lives are not the great moments. The real crises are often concealed in occurrences so trivial in appearance that they pass unobserved. As mankind becomes more liberal, they will be more apt to allow that all those who conduct themselves as worthy members of the community are equally entitled to the protections of civil government. I hope ever to see America among the foremost nations of justice and liberality. If we desire to avoid insult, we must be able to repel it. If we desire to secure peace, one of the most powerful instruments of our rising prosperity, it must be known that we are at all times ready for war. Paper money has had the effect in your state that it will ever have, to ruin commerce, oppress the honest, and open the door to every species of fraud and injustice. Citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American, which belongs to you, in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism, more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. Be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those be well tried before you give them your confidence. We must consult our means rather than our wishes. Real men despise battle, but will never run from it. To persevere in one's duty, and be silent is the best answer to calumny. Discipline is the soul of an army. It makes small numbers formidable, procures success to the weak, and esteem to all. Let your heart feel for the afflictions and distress of everyone. We should not look back unless it is to derive useful lessons from past errors, and for the purpose of profiting by dearly bought experience. There is nothing so likely to produce peace as to be well prepared to meet the enemy. Promote, then, as an object of primary importance, institutions for the general diffusion of knowledge. In proportion as the structure of a government gives force to public opinion, it is essential that public opinion should be enlightened. To enlarge the sphere of social happiness is worthy of the benevolent design of a Masonic institution, and it is most fervently to be wished, that the conduct of every member of the fraternity, as well as those publications, that discover the principles which actuate them, may tend to convince mankind that the grand object of Masonry is to promote the happiness of the human race. To enlarge the sphere of social happiness is worthy of the benevolent design of a Masonic institution, and it is most fervently to be wished, that the conduct of every member of the fraternity, as well as those publications, that discover the principles which actuate them, may tend to convince mankind that the grand object of Masonry is to promote the happiness of the human race. Be not glad at the misfortune of another, though he may be your enemy. The great rule of conduct for us, in regard to foreign nations, is, in extending our commercial relations, to have with them as little political connection as possible. I hold the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is always the best policy. If to please the people, we offer what we ourselves disapprove, how can we afterwards defend our work? Let us raise a standard to which the wise and honest can repair. The rest is in the hands of God. Overgrown military establishments, which, under any form of government, are inauspicious to liberty, and which are to be regarded as particularly hostile to republican liberty. Nothing is more essential, than that permanent, inveterate antipathies against particular nations, and passionate attachments for others, should be excluded, and that, in place of them, just and amicable feelings towards all should be cultivated. It is substantially true, that virtue or morality is a necessary spring of popular government. The rule, indeed, extends with more or less force to every species of free government. Religious controversies are always productive of more acrimony and irreconcilable hatreds than those which spring from any other cause. I had hoped that liberal and enlightened thought would have reconciled the Christians so that their religious fights would not endanger the peace of society.